Hey dorks! The Macintosh SE30 is one of the most well-known vintage Macs. The most powerful of the monochrome compact Macs, it was released in 1989 for the price of $6,500 US. In the decades since its release, it's gained a status as one of the most desirable vintage Macs for today's collectors. But during those same decades, those machines have been under a pair of insidious threats. From one side, the capacitors on the board were of poor quality and through the years have leaked their corrosive innards all over the traces and components, causing failures and other types of damage. From the other side, the battery intended for holding system settings and running the real-time clock has a tendency to burst over time, leaking nasty garbage that literally eats holes in the board and ruins components. There are a few options for people who acquire boards that have been damaged, such as the reverse-engineered logic board replacements from Blunder, or directly repairing the board. Both of these repair methods are complicated and involve lots of troubleshooting. I've recently been involved in helping to develop a tool that can aid in troubleshooting and repair of the SE30 logic board. My friend Rudy from the YouTube channel Rudy's Retro Intel designed an Apple II diagnostic board that pulled signals from the expansion bus to help troubleshoot issues when repairing Apple II logic boards. It's a PCB with lots of blinking lights and scope probe points to monitor signals and track down problems. When he completed that project, he wanted to do the same thing for the SE30. Once he had a shareable design, he ran into one big issue. He didn't have an SE30 to test his board with, so he contacted me, and I was more than happy to help test. Over the past few months, we worked together to work out all the kinks, and after 4 revisions, we finally got a working version that we want to show off today. It comes as a kit, so we're going to assemble it and do a little demo. The kit includes the main board, which plugs into the expansion slot on an SE30 logic board. On this board, you've got oscilloscope probe points for address and data lines, as well as some other signals from the CPU and logic chips. On the top, you've got voltage meters and probe points for the various system clocks. All through the board, you've also got blinking LEDs for each signal. These voltage meters are off-the-shelf parts and need to be modified a little bit to be installed onto the board. They've got little wings on the side intended to be screw holes, but since we're soldering these down to the board, we won't need those, so I'm just going to clip them off. As you can see, these meters have wires that we're going to remove and replace with legs to solder into the through holes on the board. You can desolder these or clip these. In this video, I choose to desolder them. Once the wires are gone, you'll need to fashion some legs. I have a bunch of 0 ohm resistors that I can pilfer legs from. It's pretty simple. Heat up the solder left over from the wires, pop one end of the resistor leg into it, remove the iron, and you got yourself a leg. Clip it so it's about 70 to 80 millimeters long, then do the same to the next 2 legs. Once that's done, manipulate the legs a bit and push them through the holes on the board, moving the meter around a bit so it fits well. Once it's in place, solder the legs on, and then solder the bottom of the meter as well. These aren't electrical connections on the bottom, it just holds the meter in place better. If you plan on using an oscilloscope with this, you can also solder a pin header to the ground right underneath the plus 5 volt meter. You can then clip your probe's ground strap to it when taking measurements. Once you have the meters in place, it's time to solder on the resistor networks. These are easy, they pretty much hold themselves in place when you insert them. Make sure that when you're inserting these, that the little dot on the resistor network matches the pin 1 indicator on the board. If you put these in backwards, they won't work, and you'll need these for the LEDs to function. If you use a knife edge tip and have good solder, you can drag solder each one using the technique I'm showing here. If you want to do each point individually, that's a perfectly fine approach as well. Now it's time to solder on the expansion slot connector. Make sure to orient this in the proper direction. The quick tip here is to pull out your SE30 and place the bare connector on top of the slot connector on the logic board to make sure you have it the right way around. There are 120 solder points on this connector, so you don't want to mess this up. Desoldering these things is not a fun time. If you're drag soldering the connector like I am, sometimes you can get some solder bridges. That's okay, it happens. Just make sure to clean them up. If you apply a bunch of flux first, that can help prevent them, but usually the flux in your solder is enough for through-hole stuff like this. Just make sure you're constantly feeding new solder in while you drag, because this keeps introducing fresh flux. For me, I'm using my right hand. I do the left column first, middle column second, and right column third. Adjust for your own handedness as needed. Again, if you're not comfortable drag soldering each point is also an option. It's just more time consuming. We're all done soldering now, so it's a good time to check your work.
You've got mail.
Son of a b****. Go over the whole board and check for solder bridges. When you're satisfied, bust out the SE30 board and pop this sucker on the slot. Instead of a full-size analog board, I'm using an ATX Breakout Pico video adapter from Ron's Computer Videos. This lets me use a Pico PSU to power up the SE30, and it also outputs VGA video. It's great for clearing out bench space when working on these things, since you won't need to have a whole SE30 chassis on the bench with you for testing. If you don't have one of these, you can use the regular analog board with an extension cable, so your power and video connection can reach the logic board. With everything hooked up, it's time to power it on. Look at all those lights. Let's check out some signals on the oscilloscope. This thing works great, and I can see it helping lots of people diagnose problems with their SE30 boards. It's been a pleasure to help Rudy get this thing off the ground. It should be available for sale soon. Keep an eye on the Rudy's Retro Intel channel on YouTube for further developments. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in watching me do more stupid stuff with computers, stay tuned.